Welcome to the favorites, the podcast presented by Bet365. We are part of the Volume Podcast Network. I am Chad Millman of the Action Network. Today is our Tuesday NFL Wildcard Weekend episode. We're going to break down the opening weekend of the NFL playoffs. We will discuss our exec decision and our Simon Says. And do not fret. On Thursday, we will have the usual menu: foxhole, big balls, all that good stuff. The number of games slims down, but our enthusiasm for the playoffs has never been bigger. Live from our Tommy John home studios, I'm joined, as always, by my BFF, my co-host, my companion, my compadre, professional bettor, Simon Hunter. Hello, Simon.
Hello, Chad. I feel bad on Sunday night. I didn't ask you about who the hell you want to be the new Bears' new head coach.
Well, I've got so many good choices now between potentially Mike McCarthy or Thomas Brown or Ben Johnson, who, if he's smart, is going to run as fast as he can from this glorious opportunity. I, this morning I woke up and I'm like, I love Mike McCarthy. I think he'd be great.
Really?
Like my expectations are so low right now, for who will be the head coach, what this organization can pull in based on its history, based on its executive structure, based on how much it might be willing to pay versus other teams. Um, I like, can we get Mike Ditka back? Like Mike Ditka circa 1983, who was essentially Dan Campbell,
True.
right? Um, I don't know. Is there a Dan Campbell motivator out there who can overcome literally generations of ineptitude and ownership that is legacy focused and driven and has not been able to transform into a modern organization? Give me that guy.
I'm saying I've learned as an Eagles fan that you don't want the guy you want, you usually don't want to get, right? I remember I wanted Ben McAdoo
Yeah, yeah.
and the Eagles, and we got Doug Peterson, some nobody QB coach from Kansas City, still wore visors. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is not Philly at all. Brought me in my only ring, so shows how stupid us fans can be. So yeah, I just want to get your level of it because I'm with you. I'm reading the news and everything like that, and it's like, man, this is gonna be really interesting to see who ends up with the Bears because you do have the top talent at quarterback position, and there's a lot to work with this team. So it's, to me, it's fun. Like when you're trying to figure out the future when you're a team like you have, it's exciting because you're either going to absolutely love it or you are going to hate whoever they bring in.
Doesn't matter. It's not going to end well, and it'll be the wrong person. It's so funny that you mentioned Doug Peterson, because I wrote a little soliloquy about Doug into the script today, because he means a lot to both of us. And he's an integral part of both of our lives. You just mentioned he led your favorite team to its only Super Bowl win in 2018, which happened to be played, a little Action Network history here, weeks after we launched Action. And we did a massive radio and TV blitz, like in the 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, to get Action all over local radio, doing these radio tours, 30, 40, 50 spots, whatever. And we were all over, you know, the airwaves predicting that the Eagles would cover as underdogs in that game against the Pats. Obviously, they did more than that, and it kicked off a beautiful beginning to our business.
Mm.
As you know, I just said it, like, I almost feel like Doug Peterson is a little bit of the precursor to Dan Campbell, because the most famous play from that game, of course, is Philly special, Philly, Philly. They go for it on 4th and 1 at the end of the first half. It turns from a 15-12 lead into a 22-12 lead. They scored a touchdown on the play. It was that, option to Nick Foles, who caught the ball in the end zone. But here's the real reason why. Well, do you agree with me, by the way? Like, I think he was at the leading edge of going forward on 4th down. He was more aggressive as the Eagles coach than any other coach in the NFL was at the time. And it sort of gave birth to what a lot of coaches do today, especially Dan Campbell.
shockingly, I can't believe I'm going to do it because he was not this way at the end of his career, but Riverboat Ron Rivera with
That's
that Carolina
right.
team in that
That's
2015
right.
run. He was the most go for it Cam Newton, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, ultimate trust in his quarterback. So I'll give him the credit. I think Doug definitely was the guy that was the first to have a ton of success with it, right? Like that run, you know, that was all about it, right? He even that Super Bowl, he had those big moments like that. Like you just talked, the Philly specials on a 4th and 1. Like, he misses that play. Talk about an idiot, right? If like you're going for in that position. So yeah, Doug Peterson definitely at the top of that list.
We also love him because his team's covered. This season, like we talked about this when he came back. Like
He was good to us as a
we
dog.
loved betting Doug Peterson when he came back to the Jags. He finished his career over 500, over 53% as an underdog. So he was covering and making us money. This season, this is a great stat. I looked this up on Action Network. You can see against the spread records. This season, the Jags were 10-7 against the spread, tied with four other teams for 11th best. However, they were the only team of the top 13 teams to finish with double digit losses, and only one of three teams to not make the playoffs. The others were the 9-win Bengals and the 8-win Cardinals.
Mm.
Late in the year, he provided one of the few bright spots we had this season. We just had a beat on Doug Peterson and Mac Jones and his team. So let's give it up for Dougie P.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Doug. As a reminder, the Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365. And now, new Bet365 customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up using promo code favorites, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. Right. One last quick announcement before we get to Wildcard Weekend. Our favorites $100,000 Pro Football Pick'em contest has crowned its winners. Paperwork is being filled out. Piles of cash are being doled out. On Thursday morning, Simon and I expect to be chatting with our extremely excited $40,000 first place winner. I look forward to sharing that with listeners. The dude was on fire all season long. We're going to try to convince him to put all of it on Wildcard Weekend with us. A very quick congrats to Week 18 winner Promo Master, went 5-0 within 1 yard of the tiebreaker. Promo Master takes home the final weekly $1,000 prize. Simon, we love the playoffs. We're starting anew. It's a challenging regular season. I feel locked in. I feel good about where we're headed. I feel like I have clarity. Are you ready to roll with me, brother?
I am. I just want to piggyback off what you just said, though, how much we do love our fans. And, me and Chad, we don't know the future or what our contest is next year or anything like that. But to have 2 seasons in a row giving away over 100K cash, it's pretty cool, man. Like, it's so
It's
rare
awesome.
we're in this unique position to do it. And thank you to all the fans that played in the contest. And obviously the fans that came to our live show the past 2 years and just talked about the contest and how much fun it is. And, a couple of people I've met, like that $1,000, right? That's huge that week, right? It goes towards your rent or maybe even a vacation you're planning with a special friend. So yeah, I'm happy it's over for us personally, but I'm sad it's over for the fans and this season just because it is so much fun just giving away free money every week.
Simon, another great example of how you feel more deeply and are a significantly kinder person than I am.
If you catch me at the right moment.
Yeah, well, it's early in the week, right?
There you go.
The Los Angeles Chargers, first playoff game Saturday afternoon, visiting the Houston Texans. This game has been bouncing around 3, 2.5, 3, 2.5. I did bet it at 2.5. I bet the Chargers. It's at 3 at Bet365. There's one or two books where you can get 2.5. We like the Chargers on Sunday night. Nothing has changed my mind. 36 hours of research. since the games locked on Sunday night, digging in yesterday. Um, so many thoughts on this, but before I dig in, sort of from my point of view, has anything changed for you in the since we first started talking about it on Sunday?
No, I think our gut instinct of taking the -2.5 for the Chargers or take the -3 was right. We both thought that this would go up. The most shocking part is it did touch 3.5 for a second, and then some really smart money clearly came in. A couple of those books moved all the way to 2.5. That's how much they respect the money that did come in on Houston. So it's gonna be an interesting game because I'm not really seeing it from the Houston side. Like my perspective is, okay, Houston's defense is better than people give them credit for, right? They have outperformed in a lot of ways this season. But we've seen like Herbert and this team against good defenses have played really well. Like anytime they faced a good defense, they play sound football, and especially Herbert. I mean, obviously it's nonstop us giving him flowers, but he deserves it this season. Like the him being smarter with the ball was the key to the success of this team this season. And I don't know if he only had 4 turnovers or 5 interceptions, whatever it was. It's incredibly low for someone like him that loves to push the ball downfield. So looking at this matchup on paper, it's like, okay, we already love the Chargers matchup wise. Like their defense going against us really bad. I don't want to say really bad because they've had so many injuries to their offense in Houston, but they've
Struggling,
struggled.
struggling.
Yeah, struggling. And the fact that we also have a short week here, like that's not being talked enough to me, is that this is a short week and it is a spot where Harbaugh, he's 3-0 straight up and against the spread this season as on a short week. On the flip side, we've seen Houston, they've struggled on short weeks, right? They've not been the same team on short weeks with less preparation. And the only hesitation for me is that this will be the Chargers' third straight road game. Like, that's not a great spot. They are a road favorite in this spot, which
Third
historically is not
straight as a road favorite.
right. So, like, there's a lot of trends that point to back in Houston, which is, to me, why smart money here is coming in on Houston, where it's like, mathematically, yes, like Houston probably is the right side long term. But me and Chad always talk about there is that 30%. That's what we're betting on here. We're betting the other side of that, where it's like, this to me is the right spot, the right side, and this is the perfect team matchup wise against this team in Houston. Like I just think that they could have caught some other teams and maybe you could see a way for Houston to win or cover. I'm just not finding one here, Chad. So like it's shocking how much I am supporting you here because this does feel insanely chalky to me, like very, very public. But to me, the number is right. The value is on the number. And I just think this should be 3.5. We're getting 3 -2.5. I'll take that value every time.
Smart money may be coming on Houston, but this is the executive decision, my friend. In the playoffs, we get a clean slate. It's partially the exec decision because um, a lot of the other numbers have moved just much more aggressively from when we first started talking about these. So I still like the 2.5, 3 for the Chargers. Um, but everything you said, I can back up with even more detail and more data. We have avoided betting the Texans, right? Like CJ has not played well. He has not played well because of constant injuries to his receiving core. The offensive line has truly been terrible. They cannot get off the line of scrimmage and win one-on-one matchups right now. Defenses have played him differently this year. The last 8 games of the year, they ranked 28th in EPA per play. You know who that's behind? Chicago Bears, Indianapolis Colts, Las Vegas Raiders, and Tennessee Titans. Meanwhile, why have we loved the Chargers? You just mentioned it. They do not turn the ball over, only 9 all season, second fewest behind Buffalo. And I'm going to keep saying it. I feel like this year, and we're going to do like a big sort of study over the offseason on the impact of getting the ball to 30 and then being able to be within field goal range within a play or two, how that impacts coaching decisions, clock management, fourth down decisions, when you are deciding to go for the extra 4 points if you're on the other side of the field and you know you have a field goal in your pocket. The Chargers just don't make egregiously bad coaching decisions. And that's been an imperative this year when it comes to clock management, when it comes to going forward on fourth down. So you and I are aligned. I like the coaching matchup. Not saying I don't like D'Amico Ryans, but I just love Harbaugh. And I like what Herbert can do. I don't like how CJ Stroud has played. I think this will be the last game to a tough year in which everything that the Texans had a hard time overcoming will come to fruition in this game. They aren't going to all of a sudden be great. They don't have the personnel that they thought they were going to have.
And the base of the basics is that when you're going through all these playoff games, you really have to believe in the quarterback, right? When you're playing these numbers, because that's what it all comes down to, and it's the legacy play of, we both remember obviously what happened last time Herbert was in the playoffs. That was an historical meltdown, but when you go back and you think about it, it's like if he had the right coaching, that just wouldn't have happened against that Jaguars team his first time around the playoffs. So I'm not taking too much away from it. I am taking away from it that he came out in the playoffs his first time around. He lit it up offensively, and he was moving the ball downfield. So I think Herbert is ready for this moment. And I mean, it's all setting up, Chad. If they steal this game here and they do go to play Kansas City, we've seen how tough they play Kansas City here. Can they be the kryptonite? So it is lined up perfectly. And as someone that has money invested in the Chiefs, yes, it would be very nice for me if Houston would win this game, because that would be an absolute layup for this Chiefs team. So yeah, it's lined up for this Chargers team to make a run with Harbaugh.
My takeaway from that Jaguars Chargers playoff game, Dougie P can bring you back and win you some money. Because we were on the Jags in that game. I don't know if
Yeah,
you remember it.
oh, I
Like
remember.
that was a stressful game right there. I think
No,
it was
because we were in New
immediately.
York, we were watching with everyone, and I was like, we were at a party with all of our coworkers, and I was like, I got to get out of here at halftime. I just
Yeah.
couldn't do it anymore, and yeah, that was a legendary comeback.
If you're interested in tailing my executive decision on the Chargers, here's what you should do. Go to the app. Use Bet365's quick slip link. You can see it in this episode description. You're just going to click on it. It's going to take you right to the bet that you want. It's going to open up a slip. You can just put in how much you want to bet. You're on the Chargers. I used quick slip this morning when I was baking a bet on this next game. It is one click from your mobile device. The Chargers bet slip will just pop up in your Bet365 app. You'll be ready to bet. It is automagical. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. It's the second game on Saturday. Baltimore is a 10-point favorite. This one's going for a ride, brother. It opened at 8.5 on Sunday night. It's only gone up. It seems like the ceiling is 10. When it hit 10, there was buyback. It came down to 9.5. Then it went back up to 10, and it's kind of just been sitting there, which is a little surprising to me. And that it hasn't come back down. I don't know why this happened. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story. I woke up this morning at like 4 o'clock and I had to pee. I tossed and turned for like 2 hours trying to go back to bed and I couldn't. This happens every single night, by the way. It's freaking brutal. At around 6:15, it's still pitch black out and this pops into my head. I don't know why. Isn't it crazy that the Steelers are 10-point underdogs? It's like, isn't this the ultimate overreaction? I rolled over, opened up the action app. I used Quick Slip, by the way, and I bet the Steelers are plus 10.
It's not that shocking though, because we basically broke it down Sunday night. We knew this was going to be one of the heavier teased money line parlay teams. Like the books basically are just protecting against that, Chad. That's what to me the movement's based off, because I told you they know they're going to get Pittsburgh professional money. Like it's just a fact that it's going to come in. The amount of money though from Joe Public right now just shows how heavy it is on the money line parlays and everything like that with this Ravens team, which to me makes sense. This is a Pittsburgh team that they're on what, a 4-game losing streak. I think Evan put in his article they haven't scored more than 17 points in those games. Like Russ has just fallen off an absolute cliff to this point. Me and you are simply betting on this, basically this matchup, because we have historically always just taken the dog and we've just been making crazy money doing it. And the fact that these are divisional rivals and that these games are always just weird. Now, the first time they played, I believe, was 18-16 win by this Pittsburgh team. Second time they played, I believe they got blown out 34-17, right?
34-17.
But when you go back and you look, it's like there were basically in that game until Joey Porter Jr. went out. Once he
Yep.
went out, Lamar just totally took advantage of that. Now he's back. JJ Watt put up a legit, I think his first in his career goose
TJ.
egg last week.
TJ.
TJ Watt,
You
yeah.
call him JJ every single episode.
You know why? It's because I've been watching a lot of JJ Watt stuff because he owns my soccer club Burnley. So I've just
Okay.
been locked in on JJ Watt. I know it's brutal. I keep doing it. But TJ basically had his first, I feel like, of his career shutout last week against Cincinnati. Like literally didn't have a tackle, didn't have a sack, had zero pressures. Was he even said it was one of the worst games he's ever played. Okay, so we have Joey Porter Jr. back for this defense. We have an insanely motivated TJ Watt defensively, and they might be without their number one receiver in Zay Flowers, which to me, that's an underline. That's a very, very something that's not being talked about enough right now. That's a huge deal for this team, losing him coming in because he is the deep threat. Like he's the reason they have to keep his safety back and that Derrick Henry can have these type of runs. Same with Lamar. But now that he's out, why would they not come down and stack the box? So yeah, we haven't even dived into the trends. I kind of want to save that for Evan and Thursday, but I love it. Like this, I can't help it. When it went to 10, I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, I am either just the sucker right now, just like last week with that Chiefs number, or this is, like you just said, this is an insane amount of disrespect and movement against this Pittsburgh team. And we are getting, I mean, what feels like 2 to 3 free points to work with here. Like something that's very unique to playoff football where books have to protect against these big favorites. So we know the data, right? 10-point favorites, they're 17-1 straight up. That one loss was Lamar against that Tennessee team in 2020, I believe. So there's a lot. Like I know I get crowned. I don't know if Chad does as Lamar hater. It's just in the playoffs. Like, what do you guys want me to do? We have the data. Like last year, we talked about that was the perfect team for him, and he couldn't do anything against that Chiefs team. So we've seen him struggle against good defenses in the playoffs. I think this Pittsburgh team, I know they haven't shown up late, but I still think they are an elite defense, and this is a nice spot to back this Pittsburgh team. So, yeah, Simon Says, give me Pittsburgh plus 10, Chad.
All right, Simon Says. So this is your Simon Says play. I bet it too. I put it in the app. It's at plus 10. I was wondering, like, I couldn't decide when I was ultimately betting it. Is this a high confidence bet that we're making, or is it a we're backing the trends and we're backing the overreaction? Like to me, betting the Chargers is a high confidence bet. We think it's a better team and we're getting a better number. At the 10, I don't know that we have a team that is in a winnable game. I think we're just getting, like to your point, a team that has lost 4 games in a row. You mentioned that the 17 points. They haven't scored more than 17 points in a game since beating the Browns 27-14 on December 8th, right? Meanwhile, the Ravens, they haven't scored fewer than 31 points or even lost since December 1st. So the reason this number is so big right now, and I agree, let's save some of the massive trends that back the Steelers for Thursday's show. But if you've listened to this show all season long, you know that like this matchup between Harbaugh and Tomlin favors the underdogs. And Mike Tomlin specifically, he has historically dominated as the underdog in this matchup. So, like, this is such a disparity in public perception more than anything. That's why this number is so big. And you're alluding to it with this sort of the teaser protection and all that kind of stuff.
And I've been someone that has just faded Pittsburgh in the playoffs these last couple of years, just because it's been like a Duck Hodges or Kenny Pickett. It's never been a quarterback I can believe in. I'm not saying I believe in Russell Wilson. He's the guy. This is the type of moment. This is the reason they brought him in. This is a veteran quarterback in the playoffs who's had playoff success. You expect him to step up in this big moment, but to me, you're saying what's your confidence level? It's as high as it could be on a team that's lost 4 straight. It really is all about their matchup. Like if they're playing a legit good team, like say the Bills, it'd be different. That would be outside their division. This is just the two teams are familiar with each other where, like we said, it always leans towards the dogs when these two teams play. And then it gets magnified the fact that Lamar has one team that he really struggles with in his career. It's Pittsburgh. Like
Yeah.
that, we talk all the time about that. It's a huge deal. So there's just certain teams that match up well against you that have your number, and I just believe in this Pittsburgh team. So yeah, I'm obviously confident in it. It's really all about the number. Like this reaching +10. I mean, again, like I said, I just can't help myself. That's way too many points, and it just feels like it's an easy one that's going to come down to a field goal, and we're getting a ton of value on this Pittsburgh team.
So in that game on the 21st, there's a couple games in the playoffs that are rematches from earlier in the season, the Vikings and the Rams as well. And I think that bears looking at because in that game on the 21st, it was, I think, 17-17, right? It was close through three quarters, and then the Ravens went ahead in the last 90 seconds of the third quarter. And that's around when Joey Porter, he tried to play in the second half. He couldn't, right? Russell Wilson threw a pick six, and you sort of felt like after that, the
The
Steelers needed to be perfect, and they couldn't.
Yeah.
And also George Pickens did not play in that game. And I know like he was shitty last week against the Bengals. I don't expect him to be shitty every week. And I don't that was like his first game back after several weeks out. You got to expect him to have some kind of impact here too.
Yeah. I mean, again, we get all the doubt on Pittsburgh. We understand why money is coming in so heavy, and Joe Public is backing this Ravens team. It's just, this is the type of spot we play, Chad. And, I always say I bet playoffs a little differently. If this was a regular season, obviously we would be on this Pittsburgh side. But no, I just love this number so much for this Pittsburgh team.
One other thing I'll add before we get on to the next game is the Ravens are snake bit when it comes to procedure penalties, holding penalties, pre-snap penalties. Those things add up when you're a 10-point underdog. That's like we saw it over the weekend. Like the Ravens weren't covering that game until the very last series when Derrick Henry, busted it open for a long touchdown run. But they bite themselves in the ass with really bad penalties that start them off behind the chains or kill drives or bring back big plays. So that could be something that comes into play. If you're interested in tailing this Simon Says pick on the Steelers, check out the special Bet365 quick slip link in this episode description. Just one click from your mobile device and a Steelers bet slip pops up in your Bet365 app, ready to bet. Check it out. I love it. It's the best technology. It really is. Denver at Buffalo, Sunday game. Buffalo's 8.5-point favorite. I think it was available for a second at 7.5 on Sunday night. I didn't see it. We discussed it at 8.5. We discussed liking Buffalo. Mostly it was just the first instinct. Matt Mitchell came on and said he does not worry about the Buffalo Bills in the wild card. I don't worry about it either. I bet the Bills at 8.5.
Did you? I'm on the other side. I know. I've come around to Denver.
No.
I have, and it really is about Sean Payton facing this defense of Buffalo. I can't get in my head how many points this is, and that historically he has done well. And it's like maybe I am thinking too much, reading too much into the trends here with this one, but I'm just going through the matchup, and it's like Josh Allen's going to get his. He's going to put up points, and it's like, okay, now I'm banking on Bo Nix to drive the field multiple times to get me multiple backdoor touchdowns or whatever it's going to be, because we already know the deal, right? This is going to be a January game in Buffalo. It's going to be freezing cold. It's this kid's first playoff start. Historically, fade, guys making their first starts. And I did really want to be on Buffalo. This is a team where, I will throw them in teasers. I'm just going to avoid the spread if I need be, because I'm just a little weary of this number being so big. Smart guys I've talked to at this point are just like, no, you have to take Denver. Like, this is the exact spot you take Sean Payton. And Evan wrote in his article, it kind of backs it up, right? Sean Payton, he's on the precipice of doing some historical here. If he wins and covers this, or if he covers this game, I believe that Evan, he'll be 5-0 as a road dog in the playoffs, which is rare air. So, obviously the other times he did that, it was with Drew Brees, a Hall of Fame quarterback, but it was Drew Brees as a dog in the playoffs, and Sean Payton had him prepared and up to that moment. I think the same thing here. It's like, isn't this too many points for a Bills defense that we've seen since week 9 have struggled? Like, they're one of the bottom teams And they kind of got away with it at the end there, right? Because they had the Patriots, then they had the Jets, and then the Patriots again. Like, not, again, they didn't play anyone the final week, but it's like there was a reason they had kind of struggled this season against winning teams. And, I can't get over it. Bo Nix, man, it was historical. I think he was 12-5 against the spread this season. One of the best rookie seasons we've seen. Him and I believe Joe Flacco in 2008 had the second best or maybe the best rookie season against the spread. So, yeah, it's just he plays up to the potential the line sets by the bookmakers. And in no world do I see the Bills losing this. Like I said, happy to take this down to 2.5, but covering this number with that bad defense, I think it's going to be a little more challenging than I perceived on Sunday night. I make this number 7.5. It's 8.5. I'll take the value on this Denver team, but you can hear in my voice, not too much confidence, Chad.
No, I'm so surprised to hear this. Uh, on Sunday night, we felt so locked in on the Bills.
I bet him 7.5.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like then Brandon Anderson in the podcast that he does, the action podcast that he does on Sunday nights with Evan after the Sunday night football game, made this his hot read. He made it their hot read at 7.5. So
Who?
Brandon Anderson made
No, he took Bills.
he took the Bills at
Oh,
7.
okay. Which is
A
fair.
couple interesting stats from the show. 7 seeds. There have been 8 7 seeds in the 4 years since the NFL expanded the playoffs. 5 of those 8 lost their opener by at least 12 points. Wild card hosts that made last year's postseason, playing a team that didn't, 22-10-1, almost 70% over the past 2 seasons. So history tells us Denver's inexperience will play a factor.
Yeah, Bo Nix making his first start against a veteran like Josh Allen, like that's also a terrible trend. So I'm with you. There's a lot to like about this Bills team. That's why I'm not banging the table here. I'm just weary of the number.
Against teams with winning records this year, Bo Nix is 1-7 with a minus 37 point differential.
Not great, Jim.
That was good. That was really good. That was really good. Well, listen, I'm bummed that we're not together on it.
I might come around Thursday.
Eight and a half.
Yeah, I got bullied a little bit about there's not too many games I had people talking shit to me about that I respect, and this was one. They're just like, you and Chad sound way too confident on this Bills team, and it's what you just read there. It's like, isn't this the game that Josh Allen just fucking destroys this Broncos team that overachieved this year? But no, Bo Nix, man, covering machine.
So the wise guys talked about me again when they called you. They included me in the conversation.
You didn't come up that I remember. I'll be honest.
Well, no, but you just said you and Chad.
Yeah. I'm saying they didn't call up saying Chad's way off this week.
No. That's
that.
okay.
None
But the fact that they just sort of include me, I like to be remembered. I like to be acknowledged. The fact that they recognize me as part of this is fantastic. That's really it. All right. This game, Green Bay at Philadelphia.
Woo.
Woo, Nelly, as my buddy Keith Jackson likes to say. We loved this game at 3.5 on Sunday night, and we assumed it would go up off of either money or because Jordan Love news. After we were done with the show, it was pretty much it was pretty clear Jordan Love was going to play, and this line moved from 3.5 to 5.5 between Sunday night and Monday morning, and I can't figure out why. Like, that is the window when it became clear Christian Watson was going to be out and wasn't going to be playing this weekend, but we knew Jordan Love was going to be playing. And I don't know why it would get so high up to 5.5. Got back down to 4 Monday afternoon, popped back to 4.5 this morning. What are you hearing? What are you seeing? What do you know? It can't be Jalen Hurts. Like, Schefter tweeted out yesterday that Jalen Hurts was still in the protocol, but yeah, he's in the protocol because he has to be in the protocol until he has an opportunity to practice, and he hasn't had that opportunity yet. So we won't know his status until tomorrow and or Thursday, because that's when he has the first chance to check off that last thing you need to check off to get out of the protocol, which is being on the field for a practice. So why did it move up so much?
I'd just say from the top, like, sources I have in that building that I know for a fact are just locked in. They're in the room. Like, everything they say it's 90% accurate, and the other 10% they're giving me is just to throw me off the scent of some other BS. And basically, it's a given that Hurts is all good. He'll be back. He could have played last week, apparently. And this is kind of Nick Sirianni playing mind games right now with Green Bay and I
Yeah,
guess
that's what I
bookmakers. But
figured.
me too. I honestly was a little scared because I did see that Schefter tweet, and then what you just said just came back in my head of like, oh well, they're not even scheduled to practice till Wednesday,
Yeah.
so you
A
can't be
little bit
out
of a
of
red
protocol.
herring of a tweet. Like it was
He got me.
clever by Shefty to get some
Yeah.
engagement and make a little noise, but it doesn't really mean anything.
No, and like this is the time of year where I have to have his, alerts turned on because it's such a small amount of games that any little detail like that, it's a huge deal and
Yeah,
it swings lines. Like you just said, one of the more respected books all out in Vegas, they were one of the first to go to 5.5, which means they took legit, smart, professional money heavy on the Eagles to go from 4 all up to 5.5. Books are going to follow. Like right now, we talk all the time. Books, they can kind of do their own thing in the regular season. In the playoffs, you basically need to follow everyone else. Like you can maybe be different by half a point. You can't be off by their books by a full point. Like there is none of that at this point. Like all the books are going to keep it really tight and a little bit of follow the leader, right? A lot of these Joe Public books that don't take professional money, they're going to follow the books that do take the professional money. Those are the people setting the line. So our initial reaction of that 3.5, terrible line. Like it's crazy looking back on that. They opened at a 3 minus 3.5. You know, as good as that Green Bay team was heading into that playoff series last year against that Dallas team, it feels like it's the opposite this year. Like they just have so many injuries to key guys. I mean, even talking about Jordan Love, like he's not fully healthy. He's banged up. Now he's playing a team that, Eagles are in a very unique situation here. They're one of the few teams I believe that have all 22 starters from week one still healthy, still playing in this matchup now and this late of the season. Coming off a rest week, Jalen Hurts, he's rested. Someone who needed desperately. Apparently, he was really banged up lower body. He needed 2 to 3 weeks off. Like that was kind of a gift for them to be able to be in that position. So, if you want to bet on a slow start, why not take Green Bay first quarter? Eagles have struggled all year in the first quarter. Green Bay has been pretty decent coming out of the gates early on in games. So if you're looking for an angle for some reason, take Green Bay. That to me is the angle. Like take them first quarter, maybe first half. This Eagles team all season, they are who they are. They've just been absolute juggernaut in the second half because of Saquon Barkley. And we've seen it now, this Green Bay team, they struggle against the run. They're just not good at stopping the run. And now they're playing against one of the best running teams in all of football. So to me, this number should probably get up to 6. I remember we talked Sunday night. I was like, okay, if this number is 4.5, that feels right. I go back, run the numbers. It's like, okay, this number should be 6. So the books, to me, initial move to 5.5. That to me feels right. That feels warranted. There is still a book out there that you can get a 4 right now on this Eagles team. If you want to go grab that, I would do it. If you want to back this Eagles side, if you're someone like that just wants to be patient and wait and take Green Bay because historically, I guess this is a pretty good spot to back Green Bay, right? This is going to be a little bit of an inflated number. LaFleur as a dog, especially in the
yeah,
playoffs, has been pretty profitable. Just wait. I believe this will not get below 4. This will keep going up. I think it could touch 6 by kickoff. So, yeah, I'm pretty dug in here on this Eagles team, especially at this number. But if you come in here on Thursday, Chad, and this is 6, and you're like, hey, I'm actually really falling in love with this 6. I could be supportive of you taking on the show, but I think right now the best value for your bang for your buck right now is taking this Eagles team either -4, -4.5 while you still can.
yeah. I actually was. This was going to be my other call for exec decision, and I actually thought you were going to do it for Simon Says, and take the Eagles while
Nah, I
you
got to go the
can.
gross way. I got to take the ugly
Um,
dog.
But you mentioned, I'm glad you talked about the Packers rush defense because we talked a lot on Sunday night about liking the Eagles for as much as we like Saquon. We talked about their defense. Like
Mm.
their defense is so legit, number one across the board in so many different categories, but like top five in every single defensive category for stopping the run. And we've seen how are the Packers going to win games? They want to get the ball to Josh Jacobs early. We see it in every single game. The graphic, if you could bet on the graphic about Josh Jacobs running in 2024, when it's going to appear, over under 2.5 plays into the Packers' first offensive series. Like they want to run the ball. That and then they get to the second half, and all of a sudden, like the running game slows down and they stop scoring, right? And so the Eagles, their their line, their defensive line is so physical and they need so little help stopping the run from linebackers. It's just it's phenomenal to watch. And it's scary if you're an opponent. Meanwhile, their rush offense is ridiculous, and the Packers' rush defense is middle of the middle of the pack. So yeah, I'm surprised to hear you say like it's 6. Like now I want to go rush and find that 4 and hit it again, even though I already got it at 3.5.
I have like when that news came out yesterday, that Schefter tweet. That's why again it's part of the job. But I immediately was like calling runners, getting in my car, driving to Philly again. Got more Pittsburgh down at Pittsburgh +10. Got more Philly down at -4, and even a couple books were like, "I'll give you -120 if you want the 3.5." And it's like, yeah, I'll fucking take that. Give it to me. So it's an interesting spot where I think even the books were like reacting to Schefter's news of, oh, Jalen Hurts might be out and he might not play this game. Now we've come in today and it's like every book is basically back up to 4.5. I think they realize, oh, that was just bad information, that he's clearly going to practice either Wednesday or Thursday and he'll be cleared from concussion protocol. So
Not
thank you,
bad
Adam Schefter.
information. It was completely accurate information, just totally selective and without context.
Yeah, just clicks. Like that's,
Yeah.
he got what he wanted.
Simon, one of the most important things in the NFL playoffs is home field advantage, because when we're home, we're at our most comfortable and we thrive when we're at our most comfortable. By now, our listeners know I'm at my most comfortable upstairs and downstairs when I'm decked out in Tommy John. And with a special sale for our listeners, you too can thrive at a comfort level previously unknown to mankind, a level of comfort only our friends at Tommy John can provide. With thousands of 5 stars review, we can all behold comfortable men and women across the globe raving about Tommy John, living their best lives in a new year ahead. Simon, why will you be wearing more Tommy John in 2025?
Pretty simple, Chad, because comfort is king.
Comfort is king. Right now, you can shop TommyJohn.com/favorites for the holidays and get 25% off your first order. Save 25% at TommyJohn.com/favorites. That's TommyJohn.com/favorites. As always, I'm wearing my TJs today. Put them on almost like I don't have to think about it. If it's a show day, they just automatically appear at the top of the pile. It's like magic. Washington to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's 3-point favorite at home. Your first instinct was playing this. You said you saw a couple 2.5s on Sunday night. It did get up to 3. You played the Bucks. I have no read on this one. Seems like two teams that have QBs who can make the heart attack plays, convert in the clutch. Two defenses that are not very good, especially against the strength of their opponent's offense. Seems like it's numbered exactly right. You know, if home field is 3 points, then basically they're getting the 3 points. I don't know what to do with this one. In fact, if home field is worth less these days, then the Bucks might be overvalued.
Yeah, I would say if you're just going lazy, man, you just go, well, home field's only 2.5 values on Commanders. I agree with that, but no, to me, this is just all about the Commanders being overvalued. This line should probably be 4.5. The public just loves this Commanders team. They're going to bet it. I know some professionals who actually love this Commanders team, and they're pointing to the safety position of the Bucks. They're like, dude, they're banged up. Like they're going to be able to push the ball downfield. And I mean, it goes back to what we talked about Bo Nix. It's like we have a rookie making their first start in the playoffs playing a veteran quarterback with a veteran run offense. Like this is such an amazing bounce back spot for this Buccaneers team. Like this is kind of the dream scenario. They just had their worst game they could possibly have against a divisional foe in a game which, not saying they should have lost it, but the Saints are such a bad team. They did give it away. I think they were up 16-3 at one point, and they lost that game. So, that Bucs team, we've seen it when things are clicking. Like they beat the Eagles, they beat Detroit. Like they've beaten some. I mean, they dominated that Chargers team that we loved. Like
Yeah.
they seem to step up in these big moments against good competition, and they play bad competition. They play down to their level and they struggle. It's been a very up and down team, and we know the deal. It's all about Baker, Chad. What type of Baker am I betting on here? And that's why like I looked at this to make Simon Says because I do love this team. And I love this number. And I see it going up, but it's the hesitation of Baker. It's like I know it sounds crazy, but because he's had such a great year, but me and Chad have experienced it. Like we've seen games where, yes, he'll throw for 5 touchdowns, but he might throw for 3 or 4 picks, and it's like he has to dig himself out of these insane holes. This ain't the team to do that against. Like Jane Daniels, you give him short fields, he's going to kill you. You keep giving him extra opportunities, he's going to kill you. And the biggest thing I'm betting on here is the trends and backing this veteran team. In the Bucks, they're at home against a rookie making his first playoff start on the road. We know the deal. It's just teams are tighter. And if this was what that Bo Nix line is, which is like above a 7, yeah, no doubt I would like to play the Commanders. Like that'd be a nice backdoor option. It's not. It's sitting on 3 right now, and it's getting a ton of money, a ton of bets, this Commanders team. So this feels like the nice spot. There's a couple spots here you can fade the public. Like if you want to back Green Bay, that's a nice spot to fade the Eagles in the public. But this one really jumps out to me of rookie QB making first start on the road, rookie of the year. Couldn't be any more hyped what he is right now. And this Jaden Daniels kid going against a Bucks team that after last week, it feels like everyone's just off this team. Like again, I was shocked to hear professionals being on their side where it just felt like such a layup bet to me. So yeah, I'll take the 3, and I pray that more money comes in the Commanders and I get 2.5.
Look, you know what they say about Jaden Daniels? He is the Bryce Young of the NFC East. The guy can just flat out ball, and
It's
he's
true.
not afraid. He's not afraid to face down the rush.
No, I already can't wait to bet him to win the NFC East next year because we know the deal, right? It's whoever won this year is going through hell next year. So Eagles being third in the division, lock it up. Washington winning the division next year doesn't get much easier. But in this spot, nah, they're about to get humbled, this franchise.
All right, you're in. You're all in. I feel like this will end up being like a must play for us. I have not bet this game yet. I just can't get it. But the way you feel about it, I'm obviously going to want to be all in with you on this game. Last game on the board, Minnesota at the LA Rams. The Rams are 1.5 point underdogs. This line is moved from 2.5 down to 1.5. Simon, can you name the last team to beat the Vikings before they lost to the Lions this past Sunday night?
Was it that Rams 30-21?
Rams, they lost on October 24th, 30-20. Then they went on a 9-game win streak.
Vikings lost, you mean?
The Vikings lost.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Then they went on a 9-game win streak. The score was 30-20. You're correct. I saw this funny TikTok meme the other day. Like it's like the memory championships or something. And it's a dude who's married, and an off-camera announcer says to him, "Can you name the score of the 1982 midseason game between the Bengals and the Browns?" And he can like name the game, he can name the score, he can name the leading rusher, he can name, how many interceptions Kenny
Should have been on
Anderson
Stump
threw,
the Schwab.
whatever, right? Now it's all like a joke, right? Then
Oh,
it's like, can you name X, Y, and Z about sports? Then it's like, okay, your wife texted you this morning. She wants you at the grocery store to pick up. He cannot answer it. He's like, can you put it in a sentence? Can you give me the context? He could not answer it. The fact you can remember the score 30-20 from October 24th. So many things have happened those 3 months, and yet you can remember that exact score. Here's the real question. What can we learn from that game? Like, other than the Bills game, it may have been the Rams' best performance of the season, right? Stafford went for almost 280 yards, 4 touchdowns. They didn't give up any sacks. Kyron Williams ran for just under 100 yards. Vikings sacked 3 times, 2 for 7 on third down. Darnold looked rattled, right? So is there like a takeaway of that game? And on Sunday night against the Lions, are we getting the Darnold who went on a 9-game win streak, but basically beat up on bad teams? and bookended it with losses to two playoff teams. So, what's your take here?
Yeah, it's definitely like we talked about. The playoffs come down to quarterbacks, and this to me is another game of that. It's I don't know what Stafford we're getting, Chad. I mean, Stafford's last three games, he put up 12 points, 19 points, and 13 points. That was against a 49ers team that basically quit on the season, a Jets team that we know the deal, and then Arizona. It's like, was he hurt? Did he need this bye week? Because Jimmy G came in and lit up that Seahawks defense. Like, McVay is putting him in positions to succeed. He's just not doing it. Like, it's been a lot of questions about Stafford down the stretch here. Is he injured? Like, are we not getting enough info? And that's what I've been working here because automatically I wanted to be on this Rams team. Like,
Yeah.
this is a team that has been in the playoffs in these big moments with a veteran quarterback, and offensively, he has all of his guys. Like, he has Puka, Cooper, he's got Williams in the backfield. Like, there's no excuse here. And defensively, we saw the last time they played, they kind of know how to attack, this offense in the Vikings. But Sam Darnold, not that he gave away that Lions game, but we all saw the stat they kept putting up, right? This is a team that this season, they scored touchdowns 60% of the times they went to the red zone. And that game against the Lions, they were 0 for 4 at one
Yeah.
point. And this is like 0 for 4, like they're letting Sam Darnold throw it every time. So he might have been, you know, 1 for, I believe it was 12 in the red zone at one point, like completions. And the one completion was a little dump off. Like, Justin Jefferson, sure, he had a drop in the back of the end zone, but we had guys online breaking down the film of all these easy plays that Kevin O'Connell basically drew up for him, where it's like pick play, open receiver coming down the middle. He wasn't seeing it. So are we going to overreact to Sam Darnold? Because that was, a playoff game. He knew the deal. That's the game where he wins. He gets that one seed. He's either getting franchise tagged by the Vikings or he's getting a $50 million contract per year from somebody. Like, that was the moment, and he didn't live up to it. I feel bad for him because you could see him wearing it in that game. Like, he knew he was going through it, and still, that Lions game, it was 10-6. He got the ball to start the second half, and he did nothing with it. So, like, that's the fear here is Sam is kind of running into what his problem was all along his career. It's the mental demons. Like, he has the arm
Ghosts.
talent.
He's seeing ghosts.
I
That's
didn't
what
even, I didn't want to say it, but that's what it felt like.
that's what it
Yeah,
felt like on Sunday. It honest to God, and like I'm rooting for the guy.
me
I
too.
hope he gets a big contract. I'm all for sort of those kinds of stories, but it felt like he was seeing ghosts.
Right. And then you break down the numbers and what's going into this one, and it's like there's a reason this Rams team beat them the first time around. Like, Stafford against the blitz, he's pretty good against it. These type of unique cover schemes that Flores likes to run against a veteran quarterback like this doesn't usually work. It works on the young guys and inexperienced quarterbacks, but guys like Stafford who have seen it all, it doesn't work. So, if Stafford hadn't been playing so bad heading into this, Chad, this would be another spot I'd be like hammering. Like, this is a great number. I've thrown it a bunch of teasers, like getting them up to 7.5 right now against this Vikings team is such great value. And I get the public perception. I see why in the Action app right now, all the money, all the bets are coming on this Vikings team because, they've dominated this outside their division this year, right? But we've seen the one kryptonite to this division has been this Rams team. Like, they took them down, they took down the Lions. Like, they do match up well against these teams. So, yeah, interesting spot here for this Rams team. I really want us to be heavy on it, but I want more info as we goes along. I want to talk to more pros, see what they're seeing. But yeah, you can see I'm really excited about this Rams team. I think you're getting good value, especially at +1.5. This should be either -1 Rams or closer to a pick. You're still getting good plus value on this number. So yeah, clearly the value is on this Rams team.
Well, look, you mentioned what a veteran quarterback who's seen it all can do against the Brian Flores blitz. Just look at what Jared Goff did. Every single
Yeah,
time he blitzed, Jared Goff threw it to that exact open spot. And he knew he was going to get tagged. He did it. He made an accurate throw. If it was 3, 4, 5 yards, and it kept chunking up plays, kept chunking up yardage. And all of a sudden, they're up 31-9, right? Like just a couple of those times it comes through and you get burned. And that was the difference in that game. Um, by the way, teaser Rams from 1.5 to 7.5, Bills from
Bills.
8.5 to 2.5.
Yeah, so if that's that one that jumps out to me. And again, we obviously believe in the Steelers here. If you've already made Ravens teasers, you got ahead of the number. That was a good bet whenever you made it. But at this point, are you really gonna do a 7 point teaser, get them down to 3, and you're gonna lose when it lands on 3? So
Yeah.
that to me, like, that's why we're not even bringing up the Ravens here for our teasers. To me, the Bills, Rams here, that's the value jumping out to me on the board.
All right. As a reminder, the Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365. And now new Bet365 customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up using a promo code favorites. Deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. Simon and I will return with our next episode of The Favorites on the Action Network YouTube page, 11 a.m. Eastern, Thursday, to talk our NFL Wildcard Weekend best bets. Download us from Spotify, Apple Pods, wherever you get your pods. Rate, review, subscribe, leave us 5 stars, say whatever you want. Feedback is a gift. Until next time, love you.